And now we're into the wartime part of it, right? Because a president who's been doing things like that to the whole of the U.S. government, do you think he's doing a lot better when it comes to the military while we're at war? After Trump and Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth, still sounds crazy to say it, after Trump and Hegseth crowed for days and days that the United States had, quote, complete control of Iranian skies and, quote, uncontested airspace over Iran. After Trump said, quote, their Air Force is gone, their anti-aircraft equipment is gone, we're flying wherever we want, we have nobody even shooting at us. Now, of course, we've had Iran shoot down an F-15 fighter. And the resulting rescue mission, an A-10 Warthog was also shot down. 2 C-130s and some number, 1, 2, 3, 4 U.S. Special Operations MH-6 helicopters also destroyed in that rescue mission. That's on top of the $300 million AWACS plane the Iranians blew up while it sat out in the open, undefended, on an airbase in Saudi Arabia in easy reach of Iran's missiles. Also, the count them three U.S. F-15s that were shot down right at the start of the war by our allies in Kuwait, because apparently these guys forgot to do basic deconfliction with our allies to tell them not to shoot down our planes. And they shot down 3 of them. Dozens of American troops have been wounded and some killed thanks to Iranian missile and drone attacks on what appear to have been essentially unprotected U.S. bases in the region, again, in easy reach of Iran's missiles and drones. The United States, bizarrely, started this war on its own terms and on its own timeline without first preparing its own bases for the inevitable Iranian retaliation with missiles and drones. So much so that U.S. military commanders are scrambling to find hotels and office space for U.S. troops to sleep in the region, because they can't sleep at their U.S. military bases because the bases aren't safe. Even though, again, this is a war that we started on our own terms and on our own timeline. Nevertheless, someone forgot to harden the targets at all the places where tens of thousands of U.S. military personnel are stationed, again, within easy and obvious reach of Iran's weapons. While the president keeps saying, oh, don't worry, they can't fight back. They have no capability. They have no anti-aircraft equipment. Quote, we literally have planes flying over Tehran and other parts of their country, and they can't do a thing about it. He keeps saying these things while U.S. planes keep going down. It's not at all clear that he understands why that is, or that there is a contradiction between those two fact patterns. The one he's asserting about Iran's capabilities and the one Iran is demonstrating in the sky. Trump gave Tehran a deadline to open the Strait of Hormuz on March 23rd, or he said he would obliterate them. Then that deadline came and went. Then the deadline became April 6th. That's today. Then over the weekend, the deadline became tomorrow, April 7th. There's no explanation why from the president as to why these supposed deadlines keep changing. But honestly, there's no indication from the president that he necessarily understands that it is important that he keeps constantly changing these deadlines. I mean, does he fully understand that that's what he's doing? When he says Iran can't shoot down our planes, what does he think has happened when they shoot down our planes? Does he get the connection between those? I mean, it's one thing to think about the commander-in-chief maybe not being all there, right? Rambling, swearing, jumbled thoughts, changing deadlines, no explanation for what the war is for, no seeming understanding of what's happening in the war. But then beyond that, beyond his apparent incapacity to explain, let alone manage what's happening, on top of that, there's what he's simultaneously doing to the U.S. military, which has a little whiff of what he's done to the rabies lab at the CDC. I mean, the Fox News weekend host Trump put in charge at the Defense Department just chose to fire the Army Chief of Staff, the top general in the Army, right in the middle of this war that we are not winning. He also fired the head of the Army Training Command. and the Army's top chaplain for some reason. This comes after we lost the 3-star general who was the head of strategy for the Joint Chiefs, which came a couple of weeks after we lost the head of U.S. Southern Command. That came just days before we lost the Navy Chief of Staff and the head of U.S. Special Operations Command and the top U.S. Air Force commander. That came after we lost the head of the Defense Intelligence Agency and the head of the Navy SEALs, the Naval Special Warfare Command. That came after we lost the Chief of Staff of the Air Force and the aforementioned head of U.S. Cyber Command and the director of the National Security Agency. That came after we lost the chairman of the Joint Chiefs and the commandant of the Coast Guard and the vice chief of staff of the Air Force and the Army's top military lawyer and the Air Force's top military lawyer and. And of course, there's been a benefit to all this top leadership in the Pentagon being fired or being pushed out by Pete Hegseth. And the benefit, of course, is that Trump cabinet members can then take their houses. They've all decided to move into U.S. military housing. So you fire the generals and the commandants and stuff, at least you can take their house. So there's that. That's good for America. The strategic and even cognitive incoherence of the president and the defense secretary, those top civilian officials in charge of the military, those are worrying things, right? Less worrying, thankfully, when we can count on a professional, excellent, non-political, meritocratic military, right? If you can have lousy civilian leadership to an extent, if you can count on an excellent professional military to know what to do and to do it well despite bad leadership. But in this case, our country is simultaneously taking these wild swings directed by Donald Trump and Pete Hegseth with no apparent foresight about what kinds of consequences those swings will bring, while also Trump and Hegseth are fundamentally destabilizing the U.S. military itself, leading to scenarios like we are in now, in which Trump had no idea Iran had the capability of shooting down any of our planes, and leading to what we're in now, where U.S. military commanders in the region are just hoping our troops will be safe in hotels, billeting them in hotels, in civilian hotels, since apparently we forgot that we might need to keep them safe on their bases. How are these guys doing taking care of the troops and the veterans who come home from war? This is the lead from NPR. Quote, more than 10,000 veterans lost their homes to foreclosure since May of last year when the Trump administration shut down a key safety net in the VA home loan program. Quote, the Trump administration was warned this would happen. At a hearing in March 2025 before the House Committee on Veterans Affairs, a representative from the Mortgage Bankers Association warned about it explicitly. Quote, foreclosure, period. That's really where it's going to come to. Nevertheless, less than 2 months later, the Trump administration shut down the rescue program anyway. Since then, more than 10,000 U.S. veterans have lost their homes through foreclosure sales. Yeah, it is not that they are doing any better with veterans or with the military than they are with the CDC rabies lab or with the FBI or with any of it. They are breaking all of it. And now we are seeing what it's like for them to try to wage what is turning into a major war with a government and a military that they have broken. I mean, look at how they're treating deploying troops. There's a brigade at Fort Polk, Louisiana, that is getting ready to deploy. They're just about to start their last pre-deployment training before shipping out. Staff Sergeant Matthew Blank is part of that brigade. He's 23 years old, but he's already a staff sergeant. He enlisted at 18. He's been in the military for 5 years. He's already had deployments to the Middle East and Europe. Before this next deployment, happily, this past month, Staff Sergeant Blank got married. Big wedding in Texas. Very, very happy couple. Looking forward to starting a family together. Last week, he and his wife had their appointment at Fort Polk to get their married housing, get her military spouse ID. Instead, when they showed up at Fort Polk to register to get her military ID, ICE agents handcuffed her and took her to an immigrant prison. She has no criminal record of any kind. She was born abroad. She has lived here since she was a toddler. She teaches Sunday school. She's a few months from finishing her bachelor's degree in biochemistry. She is happily newly married to not only a U.S. citizen, but an active duty U.S. Army staff sergeant who is about to deploy. And how did he spend this weekend? He spent this weekend at the barbed wire gates of the Trump immigrant prison where they have now locked up his wife. because, you know, they're going after the worst of the worst. This is the one thing the U.S. government is still even trying to do, right? And this comes after the U.S. Marines had to scramble to try to undo their announcement last week that the Marines would also have ICE agents stationed at the gates of Parris Island Recruiting Depot in South Carolina, where they apparently plan to arrest family members of newly minted U.S. Marines who were graduating from Marine basic training. They were going to arrest family members of those new Marines when they showed up for graduation for their loved one getting out of Marine Corps basic training. Welcome to the United States Marine Corps. Thank you for volunteering to give up your life for this country. We are locking up your family. We're going to pick them up at graduation. They announced that ICE agents would be at the gate at Marine basic training graduation. They then had to try to walk it back. They said it was an internal communication failure.